obviously a lot of ups and downs on the way here, but now that it's fight week, how's it all feeling for you?
It feels great, man. It's obviously there's a long lead up to this fight. A lot of different opponents, lots of changes. So it feels awesome to finally be here, getting ready to fight and do what I've been training to do for the last 6 months.
You've been in championship fights before. I mean, you've been on the big stage, but does this feel any different? Is there anything special? Is there like a different buzz for you, or is it just another fight for you?
No, it's not just another fight. Nick Diaz is the toughest guy that I've ever fought. Biggest fight of my life, biggest fight of my career. But I feel good, man. I just preparation for this fight went really well, and I'm just ready to go in there and fight to the best of my ability, and hopefully walk away with the title belt.
How difficult is it for you to have changing opponents, and you get it to one level and then you have to come back down or whatever?
It's somewhat of a challenge, but I would say that I trained for George, trained for BJ, trained for Koscheck, trained for all these different opponents, and everything that I worked on for that particular opponent, just because the fight changes, those skills and all that work that I've done, it doesn't go anywhere. It's still something that I have, something that I've improved on in my game. So that's kind of how I have to look at it.
Was one of them more difficult to prepare for than the other?
I would say, I would say that Diaz has probably been the hardest guy to train for, just because he has probably the most dynamic style of any of the guys that I've been matched up against. He's able to box really well. His jiu-jitsu is very good. I know he's been working on his judo and his sambo, so he's probably the most dynamic guy and definitely the hardest to train for.
He's actually been pretty respectful of you. I mean, obviously we normally expect Nick to come out and talk a lot of trash and that sort of thing, but that really hasn't been the case much. Does that surprise you at all?
No, not really, man. I appreciate that, man. I respect him as a fighter. I think he's one of the best in the world, and I think there's some mutual respect there.
Have you been able to watch the prime time and the countdown stuff, or were you too busy to tune in?
I watched the prime times.
What did you think about it? I've heard a lot of people say that they feel like your part was kind of minimized, like they were kind of overlooking you. Did you get that feel at all?
In that second episode, it was kind of the Nick Diaz GSP show, and that's fine. That's something that maybe they're trying to promote on the horizon, but I'm looking to spoil those plans.
You said you respect Nick Diaz as a fighter. What are your thoughts on him personally?
Well, I've never met the guy, so I don't know him. So I think sometimes what you see on camera, people come off one way, they may be a different way. So I'll hold judgment until I actually meet somebody.
You've been on a good run lately, with wins. It's got to be tough to fight a guy like Nick, but mentally you have to feel at the top of your game right now, I would think.
Yeah, I do. I really feel like I'm coming into my prime right now. I've been with Greg Jackson's camp for the last 2 years. I've had incredible training partners and incredible coaches, and I really feel everything's coming together, in my professional life and in my personal life.
Stylistically, when you look at him, I mean, you seem like the type of fighter that likes to bang and scrap and to really get in there. When you look at what he does, do you break it down as a real challenge because he has been on a nice roll, or do you really invite it? Is that the type of fight that you enjoy being in?
I mean, anybody that's seen me fight knows I like to scrap. I like to step out there and give the fans a show. I like to keep it exciting. Every minute of the fight, I'm trying to finish my opponent. I think that this is a great fight for the fans because Nick does the same thing. He's always looking to finish as well. So, I need to focus and stick to my game plan, but part of that game plan is getting in there and mixing it up.
You mentioned getting the belt. Obviously, this interim title fight, whatever. Does it feel the same to you? I mean, does the belt hold the same significance, or is this more like feel like a top contender fight?
I've been asked the question over and over, and George St. Pierre is the champion, and I think until he's beaten, he remains the champion. So, it's cool. If I win the fight, I get to go home with the belt. But GSP is, he's the top dog in the welterweight division.
Does it bother you all the talk from George about how he wants Diaz just because he wants to fight him? Obviously, that's why he's saying it. But you're a guy that's had a relationship with George. Does it bother you that he's been saying that about cheering for Diaz now?
No, not at all. He wants to fight Diaz, and he wants, and for that to happen, Diaz has got to beat me. So it is what it is. It doesn't bother me. It's nothing personal.
You're good.
All right.
Any predictions on this fight?
It's gonna be a war.
You've said that before, right?
I don't like to make predictions, really.
Does it suit you, your style and his style, to have a war with him?
Well, I mean, there's different kinds of wars. There's, of course, I don't want to play into his game and sit there and have a face punching competition with Nick Diaz. But that doesn't mean that I can't, get in there and throw down.
So you might look to counter him as well, right?
Yeah, I think that he's a great stand-up fighter, but I think that there's going to be opportunities for me to take advantage of some things that I've seen.
It definitely does seem like you dismiss this whole spoiler thing. Like, it's not a big deal. Like, you acknowledge it's there, but it doesn't bother you. I mean, it truly doesn't have any effect on your emotions to know that most people, and maybe even the UFC, want Diaz to win so they can set up that fight.
Oh man, not really. I'm focused on beating Diaz. To have anything else in my mind, in my head at the time, would be a mistake because I have my hands full. And like I said, Diaz is the toughest guy that I've ever fought. So I need to be 100% focused on the task at hand, and all that other stuff is just it really doesn't matter in the big scheme.
Do you think there's a chance that he could even hurt him because maybe gets unfocused, his focus comes away from you and on George, since that's what everybody's talking about?
I don't know. I don't think that Nick is overlooking me. Like you guys said, he's I think he respects me as a fighter, and I think that he's been preparing, and he's ready to come and he's ready to fight.
All right.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.